In the profound teachings of Nichiren Daishonin, the practice of chanting Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, often referred to as the Daimoku, is inextricably linked to the attainment of Buddhahood, the ultimate state of enlightenment and liberation. This sacred invocation, which encapsulates the essence of the Lotus Sutra, holds the key to awakening the inherent Buddhahood that resides within every being. Nichiren Daishonin's insights into the relationship between the Daimoku and Buddhahood are rooted in his profound understanding of the Juryo, lifespan, chapter of the Lotus Sutra. In this pivotal chapter, the Buddha declares, "But good men, it has been immeasurable boundless hundreds, thousands, 10,000s millions of nayatas of kalpas since I in fact attained Buddhahood." Nichiren Daishonin elucidates that the I in this passage encompasses not only Shakyamuni Buddha but all living beings, each embodying the eternal Buddhahood that has existed since time immemorial. He affirms, "Now Nichiren and my disciples who chant Nam Myoho Renge Kyo are the main subjects of the Juryo chapter." By embracing the practice of chanting the Daimoku, Nichiren and his followers become living embodiments of the Juryo chapter's revelations, manifesting the eternal Buddhahood that permeates all existence. Nichiren Daishonin equates the 5 characters of Nam Myoho Renge Kyo with the profound truth encapsulated in the Juryo chapter, stating, "In the final analysis, the 5 characters of Myoho Renge Kyo are synonymous with the phrase, the thus come one's secret and transcendental powers." By chanting the Daimoku, individuals tap into the boundless wisdom and compassion inherent within their lives, awakening to the transcendent reality that has always been present. This profound understanding resonates with the concept of the Buddha nature, a fundamental tenet in Mahayana Buddhism that recognizes the innate capacity for enlightenment within all beings. However, Nichiren Daishonin's interpretation takes this concept a step further, asserting that Buddhahood is not merely a potential but an ever-present reality that has always existed. As he declares, attained means to open. All phenomena of the universe are opened, to reveal them as the Buddha inherently endowed with the 3 eternal properties. Being awakened to this is called Buddhahood. By chanting the Daimoku, individuals unveil the inherent Buddha nature that has always been present within themselves and all phenomena, awakening to the boundless wisdom and compassion that arise from this realization. Nichiren Daishonin's teachings emphasize the transformative power of faith and belief in the mystic law, embodied in the sacred title, Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. He affirms, "The Buddha endowed with the 3 enlightened properties, eternally, is the votary of the Lotus Sutra in the latter day of the law. His honorific name is Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. This forms the basis for the 3 great secret laws in the Juryo chapter. The 3 enlightened properties are attained through a single character. This is believe. By cultivating unwavering faith and belief in the mystic law through the practice of chanting the Daimoku, individuals can awaken to the 3 enlightened properties of the Buddha, the property of the law, Dharmakaya, the property of wisdom, Prajñakaya, and the property of action, Nishandakaya. This realization empowers them to transcend the limitations of their circumstances and manifest the boundless potential inherent within their lives. Nichiren Daishonin emphasizes the transformative power of chanting the Daimoku in overcoming the afflictions that plague humanity. He declares, "Therefore, if we take a dose of it, we will be quickly relieved of our sufferings and free from illness." This being the case, to take the great good medicine of the mystic law is to remove the sickness and pain of the worldly passions arising from the 3 poisons of greed, anger, and folly. By embracing the practice of chanting Nam Myoho Renge Kyo with unwavering faith, individuals can overcome the afflictions of greed, anger, and delusion, which are the root causes of human suffering. This profound teaching resonates with the sutra's metaphor of the skilled physician leaving behind a potent medicine for his ailing children, offering a path to liberation from the spiritual maladies that plague humanity. Nichiren Daishonin's teachings underscore the profound connection between chanting the Daimoku and cultivating the virtues and qualities embodied by the Buddha. He states, though the votary of the Lotus Sutra may be reviled and abused, he practices forbearance which removes the sickness of anger. By chanting Nam Myoho Renge Kyo with unwavering commitment, individuals can develop the virtue of forbearance, remaining steadfast in their faith and practice even in the face of opposition and adversity. This echoes the compassionate spirit of the Buddha, who experiences as his own sufferings the sufferings of all beings, empowering practitioners to embrace their struggles with empathy and understanding, recognizing them as opportunities for personal growth and spiritual awakening. Nichiren Daishonin's elucidation of the Juryo chapter's teachings also sheds light on the profound significance of chanting the Daimoku in discerning those who are truly practicing the way in the latter day. He asserts, in the final analysis, in the latter day of the law, the votaries of the Lotus Sutra are practicing the way, while slanderers are not. The way, for persons in the latter day, is the Lotus Sutra. By embracing the practice of chanting the Daimoku, individuals embark on the true path of enlightenment, transcending the limitations of provisional teachings and awakening to the eternal Buddhahood that resides within them. Nichiren Daishonin's teachings reveal the profound connection between chanting the Daimoku and manifesting the universal compassion and wisdom inherent in Buddhahood. He declares, "Now Nichiren and his disciples who chant Nam Myoho Renge Kyo are the father of all living beings, for we save them from the torments of the hell of incessant suffering." By chanting the Daimoku with unwavering faith and commitment, individuals tap into the boundless wisdom and compassion of the Buddha, becoming beacons of hope and guidance for all beings, guiding them toward liberation from the cycle of suffering and awakening them to their inherent Buddhahood. Throughout his writings and teachings, Nichiren Daishonin consistently underscores the profound significance of chanting Nam Myoho Renge Kyo as the means to attain Buddhahood, the ultimate state of enlightenment and liberation. By embracing this sacred practice with unwavering faith, perseverance, and compassion, individuals can transcend the limitations of their circumstances and awaken to the eternal Buddhahood that resides within them, thus paving the way for a life of profound meaning, purpose, and enlightenment. Nichiren Daishonin's profound teachings on the intrinsic relationship between the practice of chanting Nam Myoho Renge Kyo and the attainment of Buddhahood are further elucidated through the concept of the Buddha nature and the Dharma nature. This dual principle, known as the Dharma nature and the Buddha nature, is a central tenet of the Buddha's teachings. According to Nichiren Daishonin, the Dharma nature represents the immutable, eternal, and absolute reality that lies at the core of the Buddha nature. This Dharma nature is the fundamental, unchanging essence of life itself, the inherent and immutable principle that underlies all existence. It is the Buddha nature, on the other hand, that represents the dynamic, constantly evolving, and transient aspect of life, the phenomenal rather than the noumenon. The Buddha nature is the subjective, internal, and ever-changing component that transcends the ego or the limited self. The Dharma nature, on the other hand, refers to the objective, external, and eternal reality that lies at the heart of all existence. Nichiren Daishonin taught that the Buddha nature is the phenomenal aspect of the path to Buddhahood, while the Dharma nature is the noumenal or unchanging aspect. Both, however, work in perfect harmony, as the Buddha nature represents a life in constant flux, while the Dharma nature represents the eternal and unchanging essence of life. The dual principle of the Dharma nature and the Buddha nature exists in a harmonious state of dynamic coexistence, embodying the delicate interplay between the transient and the eternal, the changing and the unchanging, the phenomenal and the noumenal. It is this delicate balance that allows the eternal to assert itself amid the transient, and the transient to find fulfillment in the eternal. Thus, every moment of one's life, no matter how fleeting or transient, is imbued with the eternal, changeless essence of the Dharma nature. Conversely, the Buddha nature represents the ever-changing, dynamic, and phenomenal aspect of existence that is constantly evolving and growing. It is the harmonious interplay between these two principles, the eternal and the ephemeral, that defines the path to Buddhahood. Nichiren Daishonin taught that the Dharma nature represents the immutable, eternal, and objective reality that undergirds all existence, while the Buddha nature represents the subjective, phenomenal, and ever-changing aspects of life. The Dharma nature is the eternal essence, while the Buddha nature is the phenomenal, transient component that is constantly in flux. Nichiren further elucidated that the Dharma nature is akin to the source of the eternal and immutable principle that lies at the core of existence itself. This eternal essence remains ever present and unchanging, forming the unwavering foundation upon which life is built. The Buddha nature, on the other hand, represents the ever-evolving, dynamic, and subjective component of that existence. The Dharma nature, in essence, is the noumenon, while the Buddha nature is the phenomenal component that is in a constant state of flux and change. The Dharma nature thus represents the eternal and immutable essence that remains ever present, while the Buddha nature represents the transient and ever-changing phenomenal aspect of existence. By striking a dynamic balance between these two realms, the eternal and the ephemeral, the objective and the subjective, the Dharma nature and the Buddha nature operate in a state of perfect equilibrium, one underpinning the other. This was the deep and profoundly insightful principle that Nichiren Daishonin expounded in his teachings. It was, he believed, this delicate yet unbreakable equilibrium between these dual yet intertwined principles, the Dharma nature and the Buddha nature, that enabled the eternal essence to infuse the phenomenal aspect of existence with a sense of permanence and continuity. This dynamic interplay was the fundamental principle that bound the transient and ephemeral nature of the phenomenal realm to the eternal and immutable principles of the true Buddha. By blending the immutable essence of the Dharma nature, the eternal and unwavering bedrock of existence, with the fluidity and dynamism of the Buddha nature, the ever-evolving phenomenal aspect of life itself, a state of perfect harmony and equilibrium is established. This, Nichiren taught, was the core premise of the Buddha's teachings. The synthesis, in other words, of the immutable nature of the eternal, embodied in the Dharma nature, and the transient, ever-evolving nature of the phenomenal principle embodied in the Buddha nature, represents the quintessential spirit of Buddhahood itself. It is precisely this duality, this dynamic harmony between the fixed and the fleeting, that formed the basis of the Buddha's teachings. In this regard, the balance between the eternal principles of the Dharma nature and the fluidity of the Buddha nature, that Nichiren ascribed to the notion of Dharma nature and Buddha nature, was the defining tenet of his teachings. It is this doctrine that represents the core principle of the Buddha, that which underlies all of existence and the phenomenal realm itself. It is this principle which binds the immutable nature of the eternal essence with the fluidity of phenomenal existence. It is the quintessential doctrine of the Buddha which unites the fixed nature of the eternal essence with the fluid, ever-evolving nature of life itself. It is the axis around which the twin principles of eternity and becoming coexist in a state of dynamic equilibrium. It was Nichiren's belief in this fundamental tenet of coexisting and mutually complementary dualities between the Dharma nature and the Buddha nature, the eternal and the transient, that defined his teachings. This principle formed the bedrock upon which Nichiren's entire philosophy and conception of existence were founded. He believed that it was only through this dynamic interplay of opposites that the Buddha's enlightened wisdom could manifest its essence. Put simply, the inviolable and eternal truths embodied in the Dharma nature, immutably anchored and underpinned every aspect of existence. Yet at one and the same time, the Buddha nature component was undergoing a constant evolution, with life itself existing in a perpetual state of becoming and flux. It was the belief in this duality, this delicately poised equilibrium between stasis and flux, that lay at the very crux of Nichiren's teachings. It was this belief in the mutually contradictory yet inextricably intertwined duality of constancy and mutability that formed the core of Nichiren's doctrine. This, the ultimate, defining, and immutable tenet held that while the one, immutable, eternal essence of being always persisted, at the self-same time, its phenomenal nature was itself undergoing a constant state of becoming. In other words, the Dharma nature embodied an eternal, unchanging principle, while the Buddha nature, reciprocally, was the very fluidity of life itself. It was the dynamic interplay between these two aspects that formed the fundamental, core doctrine of Nichiren's teachings. It was Nichiren Daishonen's profound belief that this credo was what gave life its permanence, whilst at the same time imbuing it with a fluidity that enabled it to grow and evolve. It was this duality, this exquisite balance between the eternal, immutable essence of existence and its fluid, dynamic nature, that lay at the very heart of Nichiren's core philosophy. And it was this philosophical principle that formed the bedrock of his entire conception of the phenomenal universe, the path of what he crystallized as the Dharma nature, the eternal and unchanging essence of existence itself. This principle was what, he believed, enabled it to maintain its immutable, fixed nature amid the ever-shifting ebb and flow of its fluidic phenomenal nature. Daishonin himself had, indeed, acquired this profound insight into the dualistic and paradoxical nature of existence. He came to this realization through having lived his own life, a process whereby he had managed to strike a perfect equilibrium between the fixed and fluid components of being itself. Or, in other words, he was able to achieve a perfect balancing of the two, mutually contradictory, yet complementary principles for being itself. Nichiren Daishonin's insights into the relationship between chanting Nam-myoho Renge Kyo and attaining Buddhahood extend far beyond the metaphysical realm. His teachings offer profound guidance on how to harness the transformative power of this practice in one's daily life, enabling individuals to confront and overcome the challenges and sufferings inherent in the human experience. One of the central themes that emerges from Nichiren's writings is the transformative power of faith and belief in the mystic law, embodied in the sacred title, Nam-myoho Renge Kyo. As he states, the Buddha endowed with the three enlightened properties, eternally, is the votary of the Lotus Sutra in the latter day of the law. His honorific name is Nam-myoho Renge Kyo. This forms the basis for the three great secret laws in the Juryo chapter. The three enlightened properties are attained through a single character. This is, believe. By cultivating unwavering faith and belief in the mystic law through the practice of chanting the Daimoku, individuals can awaken to the three enlightened properties of the Buddha, the property of the law, Dharmakaya, the property of wisdom, Prajñakaya, and the property of action, Nishandakaya. This realization empowers them to transcend the limitations of their circumstances and manifest the boundless potential inherent within their lives. Moreover, Nichiren Daishonin emphasizes the transformative power of chanting the Daimoku in overcoming the afflictions that plague humanity. He declares, therefore, if we take a dose of it, we will be quickly relieved of our sufferings and free from illness. This being the case, to take the great good medicine of the mystic law is to remove the sickness and pain of the worldly passions arising from the three poisons of greed, anger, and folly. By embracing the practice of chanting Nam-myoho Renge Kyo with unwavering faith, individuals can overcome the afflictions of greed, anger, and delusion, which are the root causes of human suffering. This profound teaching resonates with the sutra's metaphor of the skilled physician leaving behind a potent medicine for his ailing children, offering a path to liberation from the spiritual maladies that plague humanity. Furthermore, Nichiren Daishonin's teachings underscore the profound connection between chanting the Daimoku and cultivating the virtues and qualities embodied by the Buddha. He states, though the votary of the Lotus Sutra may be reviled and abused, he practices forbearance which removes the sickness of anger. By chanting Nam-myoho Renge Kyo with unwavering commitment, individuals can develop the virtue of forbearance, remaining steadfast in their faith and practice even in the face of opposition and adversity. This echoes the compassionate spirit of the Buddha, who experiences as his own sufferings, the sufferings of all beings, empowering practitioners to embrace their struggles with empathy and understanding, recognizing them as opportunities for personal growth and spiritual awakening. Additionally, Nichiren Daishonin's teachings highlight the profound significance of chanting the Daimoku in manifesting the universal compassion and wisdom inherent in Buddhahood. He declares, now Nichiren and his disciples who chant Nam-myoho Renge Kyo are the father of all living beings, for we save them from the torments of the hell of incessant suffering. By chanting the Daimoku with unwavering faith and commitment, individuals tap into the boundless wisdom and compassion of the Buddha, becoming beacons of hope and guidance for all beings, guiding them toward liberation from the cycle of suffering and awakening them to their inherent Buddhahood. Moreover, Nichiren Daishonin's teachings reveal the profound connection between chanting the Daimoku and cultivating a deep sense of gratitude and appreciation for the teachings of the Buddha. He states, "The great teacher Miao Lo of China states in his commentary that anyone who does not understand the text of the Juryo chapter is no more than a beast who has no understanding of the debt of gratitude one owes to sovereign, teacher, and parent." By embracing the practice of chanting Nam Myoho Renge Kyo with reverence and gratitude, individuals can develop a profound appreciation for the Buddha's teachings and the sacrifices made by those who have dedicated their lives to propagating the Dharma. This sense of gratitude fosters a deep humility and respect for the profound wisdom contained within the Lotus Sutra, further strengthening one's commitment to the path of Buddhahood. Furthermore, Nichiren Daishonin's insights into the relationship between chanting the Daimoku and attaining Buddhahood extend to the realm of personal transformation and self-mastery. He emphasizes the importance of perseverance and unwavering commitment to the practice, even in the face of adversity and persecution. As he states, though the votary of the Lotus Sutra may be reviled and abused, he practices forbearance which removes the sickness of anger. Nichiren Daishonin's own life stood as a testament to this teaching, as he endured immense persecution and exile for his unwavering propagation of the Lotus Sutra's teachings. His example and writings inspire practitioners to cultivate the virtues of perseverance, resilience, and unwavering commitment to the path of Buddhahood. Furthermore, Nichiren Daishonin's teachings on the relationship between chanting the Daimoku and attaining Buddhahood offer profound insights into the nature of human existence and the interconnectedness of all life. He affirms, the varied sufferings of living beings are those of Nichiren. By embodying the compassionate spirit of the Buddha, who experiences as his own sufferings, the sufferings of all beings, Nichiren Daishonin encourages his followers to embrace their struggles with empathy and understanding, recognizing them as opportunities for personal growth and spiritual awakening. This profound insight fosters a deep sense of interconnectedness and interdependence, enabling individuals to transcend the limitations of the ego and cultivate a profound respect for the sanctity of all life. Through his penetrating insights into the relationship between chanting Nam Myoho Renge Kyo and attaining Buddhahood, Nichiren Daishonin presents a comprehensive and transformative vision of human existence. By embracing this sacred practice with unwavering faith, perseverance, compassion, and gratitude, individuals can transcend the limitations of their circumstances and awaken to the eternal Buddhahood that resides within them, thus paving the way for a life of profound meaning, purpose, and enlightenment. Nichiren Daishonin's teachings on this subject are not merely philosophical abstractions but offer practical guidance on how to harness the transformative power of chanting the Daimoku in one's daily life. By cultivating unwavering faith, overcoming afflictions, embodying the virtues of the Buddha, manifesting compassion and wisdom, practicing gratitude, and embracing perseverance, individuals can unlock the boundless potential inherent within their lives and embark on a journey of personal transformation and spiritual awakening. Ultimately, Nichiren Daishonin's insights into the relationship between chanting Nam Myoho Renge Kyo and attaining Buddhahood serve as a beacon of hope and inspiration, illuminating the path towards a life of profound fulfillment, meaning, and enlightenment. By embracing this sacred practice with reverence and commitment, individuals can transcend the limitations of their circumstances and awaken to the eternal Buddhahood that resides within, thus paving the way for a life of profound meaning, purpose, and liberation.